This is a tutorial for Unit 11, which goes over polar, the polar command. As you can see, polar is down here on the bottom of the screen, and the first thing you're going to want to do is, number one, you're going to want to make sure it's on by clicking on it. Or number two, right-click on and go to Settings. When you get there, you're going to want to make sure that all three of these guys right here are checked. Actually, we're not going to use this where we display it at specific angles. I've been having trouble making this thing work properly, so we're going to go ahead and bypass this one. I'm going to show you another way where you can put in whatever angles you want, and that will come into play for some of the lessons that we are going to do. You will be coming back here probably many times to change the numbers that are in here, but for right now I'm just going to go ahead and leave this at 15. But again, you will be coming back in here and changing this fairly often. Another thing, since you are here, you should probably go to E-Track and make sure that those three boxes are checked as well. So this is what my screen currently looks like. Generally I'll click apply and then I'll click OK. But before I click OK, just remember that this is on 15 degrees. And what we're going to do is we're going to use polar instead of ortho. Okay? And I can only use one or the other. For example, when I click on ortho down here, polar now turns off. When I click on polar, ortho now turns off. So it's one or the other. And you remember my polar is currently set to 15 degrees. So here's what that means. When I draw a line, like here, it's snapping right there because that is part of every 15 degrees. So there's one line. I'm going to go ahead and draw another one. And I'm just going to go up, and you'll watch my cursor snap. And that one's probably at 15. The next one will go up at 30. And if you want to check what these are, you can go ahead and click on the angle option on the dimension toolbar. And this guy should be 15 degrees. And then this guy and this guy should be 30 degrees. And it will keep going all the way around until you get all the way back. So this is how it works. You need to be familiar with the polar clock, which means it starts at 0 degrees here and it goes all the way down, all the way over until it gets to 360. So you know, if there were to be a line going along this way, from there to there would obviously be 180. And if we were to have another line down here, that would be from there to there would be 270 until it comes all the way around, and you get there. And if you want to check that out, you can type in units, and you can see that the unit system, what we have set up here, is that currently it starts at 0, and then it goes all the way. This would be 90, this would be 180, this would be 270, and then this would be 360, and of course everything in between. So currently I have it set to snap every 15 degrees, so my cursor is going to snap every 15 degrees all the way around until I get back to 360 also, which would be 0. So this is what is known as the polar clock. So make sure you're familiar with that, and you know that it starts at 0 and it goes in a counterclockwise orientation, 90, 180, 270, 360, and of course all the numbers in between. So be familiar with what is called the polar clock. It will help you out quite a bit. Okay, so as we look at lesson 11a, first thing it wants us to do is, number one, I have my UCS right here, which is where it wants us to start. That's the origin, and it looks like it wants us to start a line at 1, 1. So I'm going to go ahead and click on line. I'm going to start at 1, 1, and I'm going to go ahead and just go over 6 up to, and now I get to use polar. So it's currently, you have to remember too that everything is based off of 0. So the way that my line is going right now, that is 0. This is not 0. This would be considered 90, and over here that would be considered 180. So you have to kind of keep in mind where you're at as far as the polar clock goes. So I need to go up 30 degrees. So there's 15, there's 30, and I need to go a distance of 3. Okay, and then I need to go up a distance of 2, and then I need to go over a distance of 5, and then I need to go, looks like I need to go 45 degrees. So this is, looks like I need to go 45 degrees from here. So what I like to do is I like to put my cursor here and go, okay, I'm currently at 180, but I need to go 45 degrees, which is going to be 3 clicks of my snapping. So it goes 1, that's 15, that's 30, that's 45 right there, and I need to go a distance of 1.5. Okay, and that's about as far as I'm going to go, because I'm going to go back and just show you how you can double check and make sure all these dimensions are correct. So number one, I'm going to go ahead and just use linear dimension and show you that all of my distances are correct. So that should be 6. That should be, oops, doesn't look like I snapped this to the right one. Sometimes that happens. That should be 2. This one right here should be 2. This right here should be 5. And then the other two that are angled, I actually have to use one called linear dimension or aligned dimension. So I click aligned, and let's see, this guy should be 3. That's good. And right there should be 1.5. So it looks like all my distances are good. Now all I need to check are my angles. Most of them are fairly basic. This right here should be 30 degrees. So I'll go ahead and click on my angular dimension. Click here, and I can just use this line right here. Maybe I can. So I'll just draw a line just to make sure, and I'll make sure it's going straight. And now I'll use my angular dimension. I'll click here, and I'll click here, and of course you see that's 30 degrees. Once I know it's 30 degrees, then generally what I do is I get rid of that line because I don't really need it. And then the last one I want to check is to make sure that between there and there is 45 degrees. So again, I click angular and go from there to there, and it shows me that that is 45 degrees. So once I know that those are all correct, generally I will get rid of all the dimensions because it's not necessary once you know that everything you've done is correct. So that's as far as I'm going to go on that one. That would be for 11A, and then I'll see you again for 11B.